Just going live. All right. A very good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Ask, Learn and Do series with Education Island. This week is Trinity Week. So we have some really great programs that are being offered at one of Ireland's premier institutions. And today we are talking in particular about the MSc in Climate Adaptation Engineering at TCD. And we have with us Dr. Rui Texiera, who is course director of the Masters. And we also have Dervla O'Reilly, who is the E3 Senior Business Development and Engagement Manager. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So let's dive in, and maybe Rui, if you could tell us a little bit about this particular masters. This is the first year that you will be sort of launching it. So could you tell us all a little bit about it?
Yes. Thanks, Adam, for the introduction. So, as you mentioned, this is a new master's that we are launching. It's a one-year program where I would say we are focused on delivering solutions to probably what's the biggest challenge of our lives. And we want in this master to deliver holistic solutions to this. So our proposition is to educate a new generation of specialists in climate adaptation that would bring this multidisciplinary and balanced approach to this, to what are the solutions for climate adaptation in the future. It's a master's that is composed of different core and optional modules where you can choose from, and that has this particular feature of having industry-led projects where we plan to collaborate and to work closely with different industries involved in climate adaptation engineering.
Right. And so this, as you mentioned, so this is over 1 year, but could you maybe describe what the semesters would ideally look like? Which would be the project-based semester, or would it be about thesis writing? Yeah.
I'm having a bit of feedback. I don't know if you can hear me well. Can you?
Dervla, can
It's
you
fine,
hear me?
yeah.
I'm finding it a little bit hard to hear, Rui. Yeah, it's a little bit of feedback, I think. Maybe just move your phone a little bit.
What about now? It seems to be better. I don't know what's happening. And going back to that, so we have the master is fundamentally composed in three periods. The first one would run roughly between September and January, then January to May, and then May to September. And in the first two, the expectation is for you to have these core modules. So in the first one, we have 4 core modules and 1 optional.
Mm-hmm.
In the second, we also have 5 core modules and 1 optional. So we have all this information in our website. There's a very nice video where you can see all the information about the content and the different topics that are going to be taught in these modules. And in the last, between May and September, what we have is the project. So the student is expected to be fully focused and working with the industry partner in their master's dissertation. And this master's dissertation, while there is this focus on, in the last period, you should be fully working on it. The idea is that that's going to be incremental throughout the year. So there's, in the first period, you are going to be already be engaged, or you're going to be engaged with the planning of the project. In the second period, you will start working on it, engaging with the industry partner, identifying needs, and so on. And then the idea is that in the last period you have full 100% attention to finalize that project.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And so I'll have a lot more to ask you about that. But you do mention that this is a multidisciplinary program. And what are the sort of aspects of that that you brought to the masters?
So the simple nature of the E3, that's the master is called an E3 master. It's a collaboration between engineering, computer science, and natural sciences. So the idea is to bring knowledge from these three dimensions into integrated solutions. So the module offer is also tailored to this balance, this interdisciplinary approach. So you're going to have parts of models that are going to be given by the natural sciences.
Uh-huh. I can hear you.
And
Yes.
yeah, you can hear me. Okay. I'm finding I have some feedback. I don't know why, because it was working quite well before.
It's fine.
And
If there's
yeah,
an option.
yeah. So you're talking about skill sets such as climate hazards. What are these? What's vulnerability, resilience of systems, risk assessment, decision making, but also at the same time we are trying to understand what are the dynamics of climate change. There's a module on machine learning, so introduction to machine learning, sustainable development modules that would cover topics of life cost, life cycle assessment, circular economy. Then the idea is to bring all this and integrate into what are the adaptation solutions that we need for the future, and we need them. There's a strong motivation for that.
Great, great. And so I can imagine that, obviously, someone who feels very passionately about what is happening in the current, sort of environment with regards to climate change would be ideal for such a program. But so, do you have any idea what sort of background should students ideally come from when they apply to this particular master's?
So one of the core ideas that we have is again this idea of balanced solutions, integrating different disciplines. So we want to promote collaboration from different backgrounds with different perspectives, because we believe that to be necessary in the future and is going to become more and more important. And I would say today, if you go to an industry, to a company, to a stakeholder, you're going to see different people from different backgrounds working in the same project, covering different parts of it. So while it's a climate adaptation engineering master, we also want to bring that open that to different types of expertise that, of course, can bring also different perspectives to the same problem to create an holistic solution.
Great, great. And I think it's wonderful that I'm finding, Ireland has so many more of these multidisciplinary programs, and they're so open to, students applying from, different streams and backgrounds, as long as they are motivated towards
Yeah.
this particular goal. Dervla, could you shed light on the sort of eligibility that students would need?
Sure. Yeah. As Rui mentioned, we are kind of welcoming people from a range of backgrounds. So they would need some STEM content as part of it. So if they obviously have an engineering background or maybe environmental science, technology, kind of any of the STEM areas, urban planning, architecture, all of those sorts of areas. Just basically so they kind of have the ability to kind of take up those modules. Now they will be doing some modules that are specific to this program, some that run in engineering, so it requires some background there, but they're specifically chosen these modules and the curriculum developed knowing that people are coming from those different areas. So, and as Rui said, you're kind of learning a lot from each other within those. So we'd expect students to have the equivalent to a 2-1 or 60% in their final degree. Students can apply before they have this, and then they would get a conditional offer, conditional on them achieving those grades in their final exams. So you would need that. We have the kind of a standard, so it's band B English language requirements. So that would be a 6.5 in IELTS with no band less than 6, or we have equivalents in TOEFL and things like that. So again, you can apply before you have those, but your offer would then be conditional on you achieving those grades. And the course director, so it's a kind of standard online application. You apply directly to Trinity, you give an overview of the degree that you've done, the modules that you've undertaken, your dissertation topic, and then you've got a personal statement as to why you want to do this course, why you think it's a good fit for you, why you think you're a good fit for it. And then, so there are two course directors, Rui and John, and they will do interviews with students as well, to just check. And again, it's a two-way thing. He would say it's an informal conversation. It's really to find that you're a good fit for them and they're a good fit for you. So it's kind of learning both ways, that you can ask them questions, they can ask you questions, and so on. So it's quite informal, but it's just to make sure that it's the right fit for everybody. And they're usually done fairly quickly. So the application comes in, they're reviewed usually within about a week or so. You'll be invited to interview, and then you'll get a decision fairly quickly. So yeah. And
Great.
also, sorry, we have some scholarships as part of it as well, just so you know. So once you hold an offer for the course, we have dedicated scholarships for this program. So if you just go onto the Trinity E3 page, so Rui mentioned E3 already. If you just put in Trinity E3 scholarships, you'll find them there. And the next round of scholarships closes the middle of March. And then we have a one round after that. But the earlier you apply, the more scholarships are still available. So we'd recommend early application.
Wonderful. And I mean, I have a lot of follow-up questions to that, but I also want to throw it out to the audience. Please send in your questions, and we are very happy to have them answered by Devla or Rui. And this program is now open for applications. And by when will you be closing?
So the applications close at the end of June, but we'd recommend applying much earlier than that because it is a relatively small course. So we have about, in the first year, we're expecting maybe about 20 people max. So obviously then the earlier you apply, the more places are still available. Some of them have already been allocated. So we would recommend early application to give yourself the best chance, and obviously to be able to kind of plan around it. So yeah. But still open for applications already, and welcoming applications. And if you do have any questions or you want to double check if it's the right fit for you, again, if you go on the Trinity E3 page, you can book one-to-one appointments with any of my team, and they can chat you through what the program is like, what the application process is like, answer any questions you might have about coming to Trinity, about the engineering school, about Ireland more broadly. Any questions you might have, you are welcome to have a one-to-one appointment. And we also do drop-in sessions once a month if you want to just talk to other prospective students as well. So we have current students on our team on that, and you can kind of chat or even just listen to other people's questions and learn a bit from those. And they're all on the events and booking space on the E3 page.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dobla. And again, I think so. Generally, you can start applying for your visa around April. So it is a good idea to, I think, wrap up your application by as early as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get your offer letter in time, and you can stay ahead of the curve. Um, so okay, moving on. Maybe Rui, if you could tell me, what type of skills would students be developing while they do this program?
And again, it's so there's we have all the details on the different models that are offered online. So just as a follow-up, because I wouldn't know all of them in the top of my head, but so we're talking about skills that would relate to climate adaptation engineering. That again, what are climate hazards, how to assess them, and what are the impacts to this. That would then relate to how to quantify the different vulnerabilities in societal systems for that could be related to transport systems or just the simple built environment of city, risk assessment in that context too, and then decision making, how to make decisions of adaptation. So one particular idea we have here is to kind of teach students to think a bit differently, and that would be have a bit more flexibility at the core of their skill set. So think in the future, because it's a highly uncertain future, in a more flexible form, where decisions, in the past we used to make decisions that would, we make decisions that would have implications of 20, 30 years. That's usually what happens in planning and so on. And with the large uncertainty we have now, maybe we need to think a bit differently. Then again, going back to the global environmental change, what are the dynamics of climate? And then to add to this that sustainability dimension and the digital dimension, because in one sense, the digital systems are going to change the way we work in terms of climate adaptation. They will provide new opportunities. At the same time, we need to include sustainability. We need to combine adaptation with the mitigation of the climate hazards. That the solutions need to be sustainable, and that's one of the requirements. So all the skill set that would go around this triangle, how to merge these three dimensions of sustainability, digital systems, and of course climate adaptation are going to be at the core of the whole program.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that's some great practical skill sets that they will be developing. And I know this is, I mean, September 25 is when you're launching it, and I shouldn't technically be asking about graduate employability, but Derla, if you can tell us a little bit on, what are the sort of career options and employability that, international graduates can expect?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know, hopefully students will be aware of this already, but if students do a level 9 course in Ireland, they're eligible for a 2-year, up to 2-year stay back visa, which is great. So if you do an undergraduate course, you're eligible for up to 1 year. If you do a master's course, you're eligible for up to 2 years. So you could stay in Ireland for 2 years afterwards, and potentially longer if a company wants to keep you on, and can kind of sort that out for you. But in terms of immediate opportunities afterwards, we have a lot of kind of opportunities for students to engage with industry. As Rui said, there's going to be the project that's part of it is industry focused, so that gives you good kind of first-hand experience working with a company and how they operate and things like that, which is always good to get a sense of what companies are like in different countries. And we also do careers fairs quite early in the year, so you can kind of meet companies and kind of see what they're looking for. So we do them in different subject areas in the first semester, and one of the subject areas that we look at is engineering and the environment together. So that's a really good fit for this course. You'd usually have about maybe 40-50 companies at that you can kind of chat to about what they're looking for, and then we've also got a careers advisor for engineering and for computer science. So she is very well versed in the different opportunities that are available across different engineering sectors. She also used to be our careers advisor specifically for international students. So she's also very well aware of what opportunities there are in terms of like visas and then choosing to stay on afterwards and things like that. So Marielle can give lots of helpful advice on that. So they do one-to-one appointments at the career service that you can kind of talk specifically through your own kind of career goals. And then they've also got different drop-in sessions like prepping your CV, prepping your LinkedIn profile, kind of interview skills and things like that. And then there is a database where companies can post opportunities specifically for our students. So when you're a student, you get login details to that portal and you can look at opportunities there. Obviously, we can't say yes where the students have gone on to work because they haven't yet graduated. But in terms of kind of students more broadly from Trinity, because the university is so well known and the engineering school is so well recognized, and the employment rates are extremely high for most of the students, and particularly in civil engineering. And there is kind of shortages there at the moment in terms of certain skill sets, particularly those that have a kind of broader technical background, and then these specific climate skills that are obviously quite niche. So that would really help you stand out in the marketplace. So usually when they're doing kind of surveys of students after they graduate, it's usually in the high 90s, like 95, 96% are in employment or further study within 6 months of graduating. And that's the kind of feedback we would get from students as well, kind of anecdotally, when we talk to them, particularly those students that avail of the supports that are there. So they set themselves up well during the year, they get their CV ready, they get their LinkedIn profile ready, they talk to companies, they kind of do their little bit of research, and then they're really well placed to get something. I know we did a kind of webinar with a few students last week, and they all have jobs lined up already. So it's only February; they're not graduating until September, and they've got jobs ready for them now because they were quite organised, and they found those kind of supports that were there really helpful in terms of enabling them to do that.
Amazing, amazing. And that is some, I mean, support network that you have there at Trinity, because as you said, from, I mean, your supervisors, your course directors, everyone, to the sort of system that you have beyond your classroom as well on campus, I think goes on to ensure a very good graduate experience, definitely. And we do have a question here on actually this: is there any scope for educational research within this field?
So maybe I'll be the right person to answer that. It's well, I would say that I'm just thinking on the context of that within the masters.
Yes.
So we do have this focus on the solutions and so on. And part of the solution is, of course, the awareness, raising the awareness on some of these issues. There would, as a master's project, that could be scope for that, but as a core course, if depending on the background of the person, that needs to be that person needs to have an awareness that there are different modules on topics that are more technical, others that would be related, of course, to I don't know, computer science, and some that would be more related to engineering or planning and so on. In terms of the research proposal, again, that would be related to how, if we can find that partnership within the industry, I would say.
Right.
If there is any, that could be framed within our program. We would be, of course, open to listen to ideas in that regard, because that's also a very important part of the climate adaptation, the awareness. But again, the core program is not so much focused on the educational part of the
Yeah, it's a much more
adaptation. Yeah.
to tackling real world problems, but as you said, there is some scope maybe to explore that if someone is interested. Also, a quick question on, as we expected, on tuition fee for international students. Devla, what is it? And I know you mentioned the E3 scholarships. Just roughly, how much would that be? If you could give
Sure.
us.
Yeah, so the full-time tuition fee for non-EU students is €26,980. And the E3 scholarships are up to €5,000 as a reduction in tuition fees. Now, there are some other, so that you can also apply for some other kind of external scholarships, and our Global Relations Office also have scholarships. They'd be in and around the same amount. You can apply for one or you can apply for them all, but you can take one or the other.
Yeah.
And then there are Government of Ireland scholarships and things like that that are like a kind of a bigger amount too. But yeah, I would say your chances are quite good in terms of scholarships this year, because we're starting with a smaller class and we have dedicated scholarships specifically for this class. So you do need to be an offer holder to apply for the scholarship. But I would say you've got a good chance of getting it this year, more than you would have in future years. So yeah,
Now is the time.
exactly.
And yes, so the Government of Ireland scholarship, it has already opened up in Jan. It'll close by March. So again, open only to offer holders. You get a whole year's tuition fee plus 10,000 euros as a stipend for your living expenses. So, uh, but all these scholarships are generally merit based. So, do sort of see your eligibility there as well and apply well in time. So that is great. Now, um, maybe if you could, Rui, if you could tell us about any module that you are looking forward to teaching, just to give everyone a flavor of perhaps what they can expect.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, I mean, I mostly focused on modules that would be related to climate adaptation engineering, and mostly on the risk and resilience assessment of systems. Uh, in these models, I think there's for me, it's a good opportunity to talk on risk and resilience that's in a more structured approach. Um, how to quantify it in the different dimensions of risk, that would be physical, economic, social, and so on. But I mean, in terms of the experience of teaching, I would say that in this particular module that I teach, students should be expecting interaction with or lots of interaction, problem based learning. So we do something that is or the plan is to do something that is called the system of interest, where students would have the freedom to go and explore specific aspects of adaptation in terms of risk in different systems. So that's going to be their choice. And through this process, there will be constant feedback where there will be given constant guidance on what directions to go in order to achieve the final assignment of the module. And that's a bit kind of incremental learning, I would call it, where they start with something that's assessed, and that goes back. They work on that, do another submission, and so on. So this kind of interaction, and the bit on the problem base where they are going to be given the freedom to explore the solutions and to come up with their own solutions to an specific adaptation problem. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that is, I think that's something that we do anyway crave, because a lot about the Indian education system is rote learning, and it's not as interactive, and that's something to definitely sort of look forward to. I remember my sort of classroom experience, I felt like it was like a book club, because we were all just sitting together, and for me, because it was literature, we were discussing a book, but you work towards um, together on a certain problem, or
Yeah.
solution. That's
So I
wonderful.
can tell you that yeah, I mean, there's still going to be teaching that will allow, it's very important to pass on the core skills and the knowledge of the topic. But so topics like systems engineering, risk, they are better understood with an empirical dimension. And I think that's the empirical dimension is like, let's speak real context, even if it's a virtual problem, and let's see how that would look like in reality.
Right, right. So you need a balanced sort of learning
Yeah.
approach. So great. And Rui, you did mention industry partners. For these projects, would you maybe share perhaps the companies or recruiters that you might be working with, or students can maybe expect to be working with in the future?
Well, absolutely. So I can share a bit the sectors. So if this can go from the private companies that would do consultancy in infrastructure projects to public stakeholders. So we have public stakeholders interested in, for instance, developing risk plans and so on, or to another extent to environmental consultancy companies, or even insurance companies would be interested in topics such as the ones of climate risk. It has become. I had some numbers here, and so the last 3 years were among the top 4 ever recorded for climate risk and climate and claims of insurance. So there's a broad spectrum of all the sectors in, at least in the Irish economy, need to adapt to climate, and there's there's a very strong demand on that side. So I would say that in terms of partners for the project industry, different projects, we go from the private consultancies to public stakeholders to, this can go for small and medium-sized companies to large companies.
Right.
And I mean, all these sectors that have are currently under a needs of climate adaptation or adapting their plans because they are mandated by law at present. They can be potential partners to work on this. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Rui. And I know we are almost like we are at the end of our time, but I think we have a great overview on this master's, everything that it hopes to achieve for its students. But Dervla, if you could just end by giving us the graduate perspective, because you have also studied at Trinity. What is the sort of international student experience, perhaps, that students from here can expect?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had a really positive time. I did my undergraduate degree and my master's in the engineering school in Trinity. Now, I did the master's in environmental engineering. So, we have a few masters in the Department of Civil Engineering. So, this new climate adaptation one. And then we have a master's in engineering, which includes environmental engineering, sustainable energy, transport, and geotechnical and structural. So, I did the environmental engineering strand, really enjoyed my time there. And I was fortunate enough to be able to work in an engineering company one day a week while I was doing it. My timetable allowed it, which was great. And then I went on to work there afterwards for a few years, which was really nice. In terms of my experience, it was really positive. As Rui kind of mentioned there, it's kind of a mixture of quite practical things, some theoretical things, but I think the really positive thing is that it's very applied. So you can kind of you have those skills already once you go into a company, which is great. And then because the class is relatively small, and the same with the masters in engineering, we've like 25 in that class as well. You get to know your classmates really well, so you do kind of like some projects that you're doing by yourself, and then some things that you're doing within groups. And I think the class are very supportive of each other, which is nice. So we had like little study groups and things like that where we could do things together. And then we also have a lot of extracurricular opportunities that are available too, which is really nice. So even though it's a relatively full timetable, you still have your lectures between 9 and 5, like not every day, not all of that time, but you don't have them in the evenings, and they try to not schedule things at lunchtime, which is when a lot of the extracurricular clubs and societies are on. So we have an engineering society, we have different environmental societies, green campus society, lots of sports clubs and societies and things like that. So it's nice to get that balance, to be able to do the things in the classroom and either do related clubs and societies or do something completely different, like trampolining and all sorts of fun things. So we have like over 150 different clubs and societies to choose from. And I'm still friendly, many years ago that I graduated now, I'm still friendly with a lot of my classmates, and also with lots of people that I met through those clubs and societies, which is really nice. So I think a lot of our international students, when they leave, that's one of the things they are really appreciative of, the things that they have learned, but also that experience that they've had. And if people want to kind of see a bit of the country and things like that, we have an international student society, and we do kind of different things to help people get to know each other, but you can also kind of travel and see the country a little bit as well. So they organize lots of kind of day trips and overnight trips and things like that at the weekends. So it's kind of a nice way to be able to see the country and to meet other people who are also international students in the same boat. So I've only positive things to say about it. I'm slightly biased because I work there, but even before I worked there, I was still saying the same thing. So which is why I've come back. So yeah.
No, thank you. And I'm also very biased, so I can though vouch for everything that you've said. And it was a wonderful international student experience. So, I mean, thank you so much, both of you. It's been a great and fun and informative, half hour. And, it's a great program. So, applications are open for all those of you who feel, passionately about climate change and have a similar background. So do apply now. And we will also, after posting the video, we will be sharing information on the program, so you can look into that. And good luck. And I hope you have a lot of students coming to you from India and South Asia.
Thank you very much. We look forward to
Thank
welcoming
you.
them.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.